Creativity is a fundamental aspect of being human. It's our birthright and it's for all of us. That is a quote from Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act. And honestly, this book is like the Bible on artist development, or at the very least, it's like the Pentateuch for artist development. No bullshit. It teaches us that it's less about content strategies and a lot more about healthy self-expression. Because the truth is, the marketing vehicles will always be here. So the key is learning to express something that the market will actually resonate with on a deep level, if market expression is one of your goals, because as Rubin tells us, it doesn't necessarily have to be. But whether or not the market is a consideration, your art will always be best served by the expression of your deepest and most authentic truth. First, however, we need to set the record straight, otherwise we're going to be doomed from the start. We've got to talk about imposter syndrome, because it truly might be the human condition. It's the feeling that making art is for other people. The feeling that it's stupid when you do it, but inherently valuable when Morgan Wallen, Saint Laurent, or Mercedes do it. And you wonder, well, why is that? Is it because they're commercial monoliths and monopolies, or because they're conglomerates? And when you go down that line of reasoning, it's pretty easy to understand why that thread post we talked about a few days ago really rubbed people the wrong way. It was actually pretty insensitive for me to expect that people would infer that I make distinctions between types of art. And in that case, it was a distinction between natural art and art commerce. Those are just semantic distinctions I made up in my head, of course, but basically I think the issue was that people thought I was talking about the natural expression of art when really I was talking about the commercialization of it. And even though I developed that distinction from what Rick Rubin teaches in this book, he also makes it clear in the text that what you make doesn't have to be witnessed, recorded, sold, or encased in glass for it to be a work of art. Through the ordinary state of being, we're already creators in the most profound way, creating our experience of reality and composing the world we perceive. Simply put, being an artist is your birthright. Creating is your nature. It's not something you have to ask permission for. Something helpful for becoming more secure in your creative birthright is getting around more artists and creatively attuned people. I've got a couple of free resources if you're interested. The first one is my Discord, where we have help forums, a bunch of community discussions about all kinds of topics, and a lot of self-promotion opportunities. A second option I have for you is my survey, because I'm working on a bunch of dope stuff for underground artists, engineers, and producers. So if you check it out, please answer this one question survey about the one thing you feel you need to know or have to further your development. And that will help me make more content, videos like this, and other stuff that helps you grow. Rick Rubin also suggests in the text that being around certain people or in specific environments can improve or negate your ability to create. But that's not actually the first thing that he mentions to do in the book. I noticed something that he does a lot. He'll usually use the water cycle as an analogy for the creative flow, and the first time he does so in the text is in the form of a rhetorical question that he asks the reader. It goes like this: how does a cloud know when to rain? How does a tree know when the spring begins? How does a bird know when it's time to build a new nest? Then he's gracious enough to give us the answer. The universe functions like a clock. These rhythms are not set by us. We are all participating in a larger creative act we are not conducting. We are being conducted. The artist is on a cosmic timetable, just like all of nature. He also uses Solomon's poem from Ecclesiastes to bolster his point, and I just think that's really cool. I think the main idea is that we're all already creating and manifesting on autopilot. So the key is that it's time to start becoming conscious of that on every level of life. And it's not just in art, it's in relationships, emotional and mental state, finance, lifestyle, work and career, fitness, health and wellness, and those are just a few domains we can name, right? And Rubin says that the way we tune in and become conscious is actually by not looking for it at all. He goes, how do we pick up on a signal that can neither be heard nor defined? Nor do we attempt to predict or analyze our way to it. Instead, we create an open space that allows it. A space so free from the normal overpacked conditions of our minds that it functions as a vacuum, drawing down the ideas that the universe is making available. I think this is something that's really worth exploring because the reward is our innocence. So much of what we see in media and consume in terms of information makes us feel bad for doing literally just normal stuff like scrolling on TikTok or ordering some wings from Wingstop. Those are actually pretty superficial examples, but the point is that a lot of it just makes you feel bad for being yourself, doing normal things that normal people do. And I feel like connecting with your creativity is almost doing the opposite of that. It's appreciating every little thing about yourself to the point that it allows you to just express yourself in the most healthy and authentic way possible. I really do believe that comparison, judgment, and self-loathing are threads woven into the cloth that blindfolds our our eyes from creativity, so maybe we shouldn't do that. That's a nice sentiment. I mean, I really did cook with that last sentence, but where do we look for the creativity once the blindfold is gone? Rick Rubin gives us the solution in another cloud analogy, and I'm not gonna lie, bro is the king of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It goes like this: it may be helpful to think of source as a cloud. Clouds never truly disappear. They change form, they turn into rain, and they become a part of the ocean, and then they evaporate and return to being clouds. The same is true of art. Art is a circulation of energetic ideas. What makes them appear new is that they're combining differently each time they come back. No two clouds are the same. And I think with the cloud analogy, he's trying to explain that the source of everything that we can tap into is all around us right here, right now, in the present moment, with any kind of matter, material, or mental idea that we can interact with. So if we were to keep up with the analogy, I think the individual being or artist or creative or just entity would be like one raindrop. So the source is not the raindrop. We are just a tiny little glimpse of what the source can be. The source in and of itself actually is the vapor in the air. It's the respiration from creatures interacting, breathing mammals and respirating plants with carbon dioxide and things of that nature. It's the rivers, it's the clouds in the sky, it's the rain, it's the oceans, it's everything else that's not that tiny little raindrop. So the question is, I guess, how do we interact with that? And I think the key is to stop trying so hard to maintain your singular raindrop form. We remove that filter of existence and understand that we're a part of this water cycle. We experience it. We think about things that we're averse to and we stop being averse to them. We go out and we experience them. We think about what our biases are. We remove those and we go experience and learn from the things that we would usually be biased against. What things annoy you the most? Learn about those things. I heard a quote from a really interesting book once that we'll talk about on a later date because I don't remember the title, but it said something throughout the entire book and it ended up being the theme, and it's that we hate the things and the people that we are most alike. It's a very interesting thing to think about in your life. And especially the things that scare you or cause the most fear in you are the things you want to explore, because just on the other side of those are your greatest creative imaginations. The payoff here is huge because opening yourself up to life and exploring the unknown is literally how you gain access to the infinite source of creativity, imagination, and intelligence. And as we discussed earlier, connecting with other artists and creatives is a really good way to build your sense of security as you explore. But what if I told you this is also the best way to actually grow as an artist, creative, or human being? If you want to learn how it's possible, click on the video appearing on your screen right now.